Welcome to Coyote Tales, a podcast featuring life stories from Weatherford College alumni and friends. And now, from the Nan and Bob Kingsley building on the campus of Weatherford College, in the Coyote Studios, here's Brent Baker.
Very happy to be back with Coyote Tales here for Weatherford College at 88.5, 102.5, The Coyote. And on the phone line with me is a guy who is extremely busy, especially in January and February of every year, Mr. Matt Brockman, who is the communications director at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Matt, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, it's good to be here, Brent. Thanks for having me.
Matt is a distinguished alumnus of Weatherford College, and he is extremely busy. Now, Matt, some people may be listening to this as soon as it comes out at the beginning of the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, and some may not be listening to this until months from now, but I know that it's timely. Give people an idea of how complex the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo is. I know it's legendary, but it's also very complex.
Yeah, there's certainly, it's got its complexities. It's got its simplicities, too, I would say. The simple part is we're about celebrating the Western way of life, the cowboy and cowgirl culture, highlighting the state's livestock industry, those men and women that are out on those farms and ranches producing the food and fiber that we all depend upon. And so that's the simple part. Certainly that runs the gamut from rodeo to livestock shows to trade shows, what we refer to as rodeo shopping venues and things like that. But the complexities are really behind the scenes because it takes a lot of people to pull all of this together. I would say roughly more than 2,000 volunteers, probably half that many seasonal employees, give or take a few, and then about 26 of us, 5-6 of us full-time staff. So as soon as this event ends on February the 17th, shortly thereafter we'll start planning the 2027 show.
It's incredible.
So it takes a village, and luckily we've got a good, strong village that steps up to the plate every year and does us a great job.
So when you're dealing as the communications director, I assume that a lot of that is media. You're dealing with television stations and radio stations and newspapers and periodicals. You're dealing with social media. Kind of hit some of the high points on what you do as the communication director and your department.
Okay. Well, our department is pretty small. There's really myself. I've got a communications assistant. His name is Kyler Hardegree, and he oversees our organic social media platforms, as well as a bunch of the other things that I do as well. We have a part-time employee, Shanna Weaver, who is really our managing editor of some of the publications that we create, and then I've got another young lady that helps me with different media relations roles, and that's Melissa Ashley. And she's a seasonal employee. Really, when I explain what I do, I say there are buckets. There are 4 buckets that kind of describe what I do. Everything falls into one of those 4 buckets. So the first one being owned media. Owned media is what we control. It's what we own. So our organic social media platforms, our publications. We produce a rodeo program, our Rodeo Souvenir Annual, that's sold during rodeo performances. We still produce and print a brochure that we refer to as our visitor guide that's distributed out on the complex. And then just other forms, our website certainly falls under the category of owned media. Then the next one would be earned media, that is media relations. You're right, working with TV stations, working with radio programs. Oh gosh, today I've done I've done a radio interview. I've done 2 radio interviews. I've got a TV interview coming up. I did TV and print yesterday.
Wow.
So media relations is really important. So earned media, that's where I'm either responding to media inquiries or I'm pitching story ideas to my colleagues in the press. Then the third would be paid media. So that's advertising. So everything from broadcast, print advertising, digital advertising, social media, paid social media, all of that falls under the category of paid media. And then the last one is issues management and crisis communications. We have to be prepared for crises and have to be prepared to manage issues or step out and communicate on issues that are sometimes a little contentious, but that's just the nature of the beast. And it's an exciting job. Never a dull moment.
You are never bored. I don't care what time of year. I guarantee you're never bored in that position. Matt Brockman with the Fort Worth Stock Show. Now we'll come back to the stock show in a minute. Let's talk more about Matt Brockman. Born in Olney, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Did you go to Olney High School?
No, I didn't. We were a little romantic. We were a little nomadic and romantic, I would say. we were both. My family was romantic and nomadic when I grew up. I was born in Olney. Like you say, we were living in Archer City at the time. We also lived near Woodson and Graham and Wichita Falls, but made our way down to Granbury, to Crescent, actually, and lived there. And I did most of my public school time at Granbury Independent School District and finished at Granbury High School in 1979.
So you're a pirate. Okay,
Yep.
That's good. And then you attended Weatherford College. Now tell me about your experience at Weatherford College. How did you end up there at here at WC? And what are some of your memories from your time at Weatherford College?
Oh, gosh, the memories are great. I really, the fun thing was I knew I wanted to study agriculture, so I began down that path, and I knew I would transfer probably to Tarleton State, which I did eventually do so. But, gosh, such vivid memories and great memories of the staff, of people like Mike Bergman and J.C. Colton and Mike Brown and just so many others that just had a big influence on me. Gosh, Andra Cantrell, I think she may have got there the second year that I was there, and I just love Andra to death. And she was she was there when I was attending Weatherford College, and is still there today. So that's something that's really cool. And another thing I would say, I serve on the Weatherford College's Equine Advisory Committee. That's a job. That's a volunteer role that I cherish there. But the memories are wonderful. I was a member of, I believe the name of the band was Country Gold. I sang. I was a vocalist on Country Gold, and that was a lot of fun. And I went to Weatherford for 3 years, and I like to joke that I crammed 4 years of college into 5.5.
Yeah.
And the 3 years I was at Weatherford College were just amazing. I've worked for some ranchers that leased a ranch that James Doss owned between Weatherford and Mineral Wells, and I spent a lot of time on that ranch. I basically oversaw it. They ran yearling cattle on it, stocker cattle on it, and first calf heifers, and so I spent as much time out there on that ranch taking care of those cattle as I did in the classroom, which extended my career there at Weatherford. But lots of fond memories, lots of great people. Yeah, just a great time.
Are we talking about the 80s here? We're talking about, okay. All
1979, the fall of 1979, and I would have been there in 79, 80, and 81, so I would have left in 1982.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of what you may have been playing on Country Gold. It might have been a little early for George Strait. more than likely. But I don't know. Do you remember any of the tunes y'all played with Country
Oh
Gold?
gosh, now you're making me go way back there. I think I sang a Mac Davis song that was called "Hooked on Music" or something like that. That was one of mine. "Party Time" was another song that I sang. I think that was a Earl Thomas Conley song. Maybe, I can't remember. But anyway, it was a great bunch and a great group, and I had a lot of fun with it. I think I did it 2 semesters or so, but lots of fun, good memories for sure.
Next time we see you on campus, we'll have to, get you in front of a mic somehow and maybe get you to belt out a Earl Thomas Conley song.
Yeah, or something like that. It was fun. It definitely was.
So as you said, you went to Tarleton, and you became and have been involved with Tarleton as well over the years. But then from Tarleton, the office of U.S. Representative Charles Stenholm. That's a name that that was a big name in this part of Texas for a long, long time. What was it like working for Charlie Stenholm?
Well, there was a Weatherford College connection there too, Brent, because the first time I met Charlie was he came and spoke to a government class that I was enrolled in there at Weatherford College. And I can't remember, I asked a question, I'll never forget, I asked a question for the congressman, and he answered, and one of his staff members ran up to me afterwards and asked me a few questions, and we chatted a little bit, and I didn't think anything else of it. And then fast forward on to Tarleton State, and I was about to do my student teaching. I was on the block, as they call it, and I was about to do my student teaching. And Charlie advertised a position in the ag building there at Tarleton. And to be candid with you, I didn't think I had a chance. I had never taken an ag policy class, a poli-sci class. My parents certainly weren't politically connected, but a professor and a fellow student talked me into applying, and I was doing my student teaching out at Woodson between Breckenridge and Throckmorton, and got an interview. And in July of 1985, I found myself working in his office in D.C., and I could not have asked for a more awesome start to my professional career. Charlie was very bipartisan. He was a man who worked across the aisles. I never heard that man utter a cuss word. I never heard that man say anything ill towards any of his political opponents. And that's a rarity today. And Charlie just instilled in me some values and a work ethic and a commitment that has just been amazing. And I miss him. He passed away a couple years ago, and I miss him dearly.
You also had a chance to work for Rick Perry back when he was, Commissioner of Agriculture?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when I worked for Mr. Stenholm, I got to know Rick Perry. At the time, Rick Perry was a Democrat. He was a Democratic member of the Texas House of Representatives. He later switched to the Republican Party when he ran for Agriculture Commissioner. But I met Rick when he was in the state legislature, and I was working for Mr. Stenholm. Charlie and Rick grew up really almost on the same turn row out there in Haskell and Jones counties, very close to each other. And so they were friends, and I got to know Rick. And when Rick got elected ag commissioner, it was, luckily for me, an opportunity to come back to Texas and spend a few years working for him. And another great leader, another great individual, example, mentor as well.
It's fantastic. So Executive Vice President of the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association for 5 years. Then you went to the Fort Worth Stock Show in 2006, worked for 6 years, left there to become Executive Director of the National Ranching Heritage Center. And you mentioned Dr. Andrew Cantrell earlier. She's been a board member out there for a number of years at Texas Tech University. That must have been a good experience as well.
It was a great experience. I love West Texas, and Texas Tech was a great place, and the Ranching Heritage Center was also a great place to work, and got involved in was able to be a part of the start of some really cool things there at the National Ranching Heritage Center, and brought some wonderful people on that staff as well, and I'm so proud of what they're doing today and how they've brought that facility forward. And so, yes, they'll always be a part of me that stays very much in love with the Ranching Heritage Center. Andra was just starting to get involved while I was there, and then when I came back to the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo to be their communications director, she stepped into that role there on their board of directors and executive committee. So really proud of that place and really proud of what Andra is doing there.
So you spent 10 years in your current role at the Fort Worth Stock Show. Mm-hmm. I actually heard Matt Carter speak today.
Cool. Good.
At the Parker County Chamber of Commerce luncheon, and a great speaker. Talked to him for a little bit afterwards and thanked him for the scholarships you guys provide for Weatherford College students. But talk to me about the importance of what you do in things like education and also in preserving Western heritage. Those are two really big cornerstone things that he talked about, and I'm sure those things go through your mind every day as you're preparing for each stock show.
Sure. Well, the youth component, the youth education component is just so important, Brent, because, I showed here in 1974. I showed a lamb here in 1974, and when I was here showing back then, now 51 years ago, 52 years ago, most of us came off the farmer ranch. That's changed. Of our 16, roughly, take that back, 26,000 youth 4-H and FFA entries. Many of them come from suburban areas. Some of them, come even Parker County. There's a lot of Parker County that's more suburban today than it is rural.
You bet.
And so these young men and women aren't coming directly off the farmer ranch. Not all of them anyway. Some do. But the stock show provides a segue, a pathway that they can purchase a lamb or a goat or a chicken for that matter, doesn't matter, and raise it maybe on the high school ag science facility and bring it here and show it. And there are just numerous. I've run into just case by case by case of young men and women that started out showing a lamb because they were able to keep that lamb at the Arlington Heights Ag Science Center, and then next thing you know, they're studying genetics at Texas A&M University or somewhere.
Wow!
And so that's important. We've got to have a strong workforce of men and women that are going to step in and lead our large agricultural companies going into the future. I don't care if it's Tyson or if it's Cargill or you name it. We've got to have leaders, and they got to be properly trained. So that part's important, exposing those young men and women to the livestock industry and the meat protein industry. The other part is that scholarship component, the auction proceeds that they can get if they qualify for our junior sale of champions. Those are very important things. Because I don't have to tell you now, I love Weatherford College, and I'd argue that Weatherford College is probably one of the more affordable colleges in this country, but not all of them are that way. And a college education is more expensive today than it was when I went through school. So
Sure.
Those opportunities to reward those young men and women with help in the form of scholarships and auction receipts is very important. The Western way of life, the Western heritage and lifestyle is also important. People connect to that. It's important. It's in our DNA here, not just in North Texas, but I'd argue anywhere. The people that are going to come on our complex on Friday and for the following 22 days, some are going to come right off the farmer ranch. Some are 1 or 2 or 3 generations removed. Some are many more generations removed, but we all go back to the soil. We all go back to the land, the water that sustains us, sustains our agricultural infrastructure, that puts the food on the table and the clothes on our backs that we all depend upon, and that's important.
Well, Matt, I've kept you longer than I told you I would, and I really appreciate your time. Before I let you go, talk briefly about your family. Tell me about your family and where they are, and a little bit about them.
Okay. Well, my parents passed away many years ago, but my mother attended Weatherford College. My brother Neil also attended Weatherford College. My brother Neil lives in Granbury, and he is married. His wife, Leanne, they raised 3 children, and all grown up and doing very well. My wife, Karen, and I have been married for almost 28 years and happily married, and Karen is a respiratory therapist. She works at a cardiac rehab facility in Stephenville, and she spent her whole career mainly in critical care units, so ICU, cardiac ICU, pulmonary ICU, things like that. She was in a COVID unit throughout the entire pandemic. So she's my healthcare hero. I'm very proud of her, and she helps people that have had heart surgeries or heart ailments recently get rehabilitated and back on their feet. So very proud of my wife, Karen, and we live out between Granbury and Lipan on Farm Road 4 and just love it out there.
Fantastic. Well, Matt, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Like I said, it's a very busy time for you. Thank you for taking the time. We'll be watching television and listening to radio and looking through the papers for your name, and we'll see you out there as well. And you know, we have this year a college rodeo that you guys are hosting at the Fort Worth Stock Show. We're excited about that as well.
I'm extremely excited about it. I'm extremely excited about Weatherford College's rodeo team's chances at that rodeo. Johnny Emmons is doing a great job with that bunch of young men and women. And so I am going to be there. You know, I'll have to split my allegiance between Tarleton and Weatherford, but you know, my heart's going to be my heart of hearts is really going to be pulling for Weatherford College and that team, and we're so proud to be hosting. The cool thing is hosting that rodeo in our Will Rogers Coliseum, which just recently went through a renovation of its concourse. So come check it out. We hope everybody that's listening will come check out our college rodeo February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and cheer on WC to victory.
That's right. I'll be there. Matt Brockman, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you again to Matt Brockman for joining us on Coyote Tales. You can hear previous editions of Coyote Tales on the Weatherford College YouTube page or on the Coyote Radio smartphone app. For 88.5 and 102.5, the Coyote and Weatherford College, I'm Brent Baker.